Good evening, everyone. We are just awaiting. We're just taking a little bit of time. I just wanted just to welcome everybody in tonight. We're going to be listening in to the presidential address that will be given by uh, President Donald J. Trump, and we'll be juggling back and forth between tonight's uh, tonight's meeting tonight. It's going to be a lot that's going to be on the table. We want to hear a couple of things as far as uh, what is uh, Donald Trump going to, if he's going to speak about the State of the Union, as far as how we're going to bring down the uh, high prices and stuff that we're paying at the registers when we go into the supermarkets. What is it that the president is going to speak upon? I read a little bit from a readout from a couple of things of what was briefly stated. I don't want to go too much in depth, but there are going to be some significant changes that I think that a lot of people are going to be very interested in about what the president is going to speak on. As you can see there in the gallery, we see Vice President J.D. Vance as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, the gentleman from Louisiana. Um, we've been hearing a lot of stuff that's been going on over these past couple of weeks in regards to those two individuals. And I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what President Trump is going to do. How is he going to get us out of the situation of what we're in as of right now? So we're just going to be on standby. We'll be listening in uh, throughout the evening, and then we'll come in with a full recap with the crew. And let's listen in real quick and see what's going on inside of the gallery, inside of the U.S. Congress.
Jason Dick, we were just watching the Supreme Court come in. We saw Justice Roberts, Kavanaugh, Barrett, Kagan, and we did not see Justices Brown, Jackson, Sotomayor, Alito, Gorsuch, Thomas.
We
And
did
we
see,
did
we'd
see
see
Anthony Kennedy, too. Yeah.
retired Justice Anthony
Does
Kennedy.
that tell you anything?
Yeah,
That just
Justice
four
Anthony
out of the
Kennedy, he's
five,
always
I-
four out of the nine,
he's,
So, I mean, Justice Alito has been skipping this for quite a few years after, like sort of some of his motions. And,
but while we're waiting, we'll just
formalities
continue just to
as
go
far
ahead
as,
on and we'll
cameras
continue
during
to
Barack
monitor
Obama's
what's going on down
addresses.
inside of the gallery.
Thomas has
But
also skipped
just
one
to
too lately.
pretty much recap,
And
we know we've
it's
been
not
witnessing a
surprising
lot
to
of
me
things that
because I
have
do
been
think that
taking
some
place,
people are
uh,
feeling like
that's
that
been
they
taking place here
have to
inside
be
of
there.
the United States of America.
They've
For
done this
those
before.
that are,
A lot
those
of
of
them
you
have done
that
this
are
before.
watching,
Even
um,
for people who have
by way of
relatively
across the
new
but
pond,
not necessarily, you don't see
um,
this necessarily
I
as a
want to give a shout out
protest
to our
by
viewers and stuff
two of
that we
the
have in the
Democratic
UK,
elected
as well
justices,
as
Brown, Jackson, and
uh,
Sotomayor.
different
And
European
you
countries.
can
We
see
also have
Justice
people that's
Roberts,
watching us
Kagan,
from
Yeah,
Germany.
I mean,
I want to thank
the
you guys for
Supreme
tuning in
Court
on
is a
this
very
evening.
tight group. They are
Without you
very
guys, we
close. They spend
wouldn't
a lot
be
of
a
time
success.
around
We
one
want to
another.
continue to keep.
Whether
We want to
or not it's a
keep
protest or whether it's
continually
just I have just
bringing
catch up
information
on
to
Black
our
Bloods on
communities here in the
Netflix,
United
it
States.
might be that too.
But
I had a
I
reservation at
want to
Club
talk more
Med
about a lot
Square
more
at the
stuff, but I just
Royal
want to just give
Eatery.
it some
It was
time.
Mardi Gras.
and I don't want to spill the beans on some of the stuff of what we're going to be
Jasmine
discussing
Wright,
on
when
this
you were
evening. But I
talking
want to thank y'all guys for
about
joining
J.D.
in
Vance
tonight.
and Mike
And if there's
Johnson,
anything that you
and
guys
I
want to
asked
hear,
a
just
question
please
before
just
we
drop
got
a
interrupted,
make sure that you
which
like,
was,
comment, and
would you
subscribe.
consider the
Um,
Harris
hit that bell
Trump's
icon,
relationship
and
to
just
be
every time when we get
romantic?
Yeah, I
ready to
mean, I
come
think
on,
that I'm
you
not
will be
even sure
able
I would call
to
it a relationship. These are two
witness
people that
what
didn't really know each other,
we're
that
going
didn't
to be
really
talking
talk.
about inside of our
It was
community, because
these
a lot of the
moments in
stuff and the
which they kind of
policies and stuff that President Trump
interface a
will be
lot
speaking
more
on
after Johnson
would
became speaker, and obviously
pretty
now this
much
president is
affect
on her fourth year of
us
being the
all
vice
as
president.
Americans.
I
And
believe
that's
that
the one
Johnson
thing
was
that will
asked
bother me.
later on
But what
in
we
an
got to
interview
understand
what they
is that
talked about,
we
and
have
he
a
said,
job to
we
do
made
as, Amer-
niceties. We
as,
didn't
as
talk about
American
politics.
people.
We talked about
It's going to be a
things that
people's
two people,
movement.
two humans talk
We
about.
understand that it's going to be a movement
I am not
that
sure
we
that that is
all
the
have
case
to
with
work
Vance
together. We have to be able
and
to
Johnson.
come
I think
together
that they're
and to be able
talking
to
pretty
get things
frequently. J.D.
done
Vance
as
was
an
at the
American,
Capitol
as
earlier
American people.
today for a confirmation
But
hearing for
we know
weapons
as
and
individual
people
Americans, we
not
know that
permitted to
we're able to
join the
work with each other.
FBI,
We
where he's
know
locked up
what we have
vets.
to,
So
and
I
we
think that
know
they're
it's exactly
continuously
how far
having
we
conversations in a
can be able
way
to
that
talk to
Johnson
one
wasn't
another.
having
We
with
have to
Vance
understand,
initially.
like,
We have
we're
about a
not going to
minute and a
always
half
get,
before
we're not going to always,
William McFarland, the House Sergeant at Arms,
we're
is
always
scheduled
not
to
going to get our
announce
way
Mr.
on
Speaker, the
what we
President of the
want.
United States, etc.
It's always got to
What
be a
are you
common
listening
ground.
for in tonight's speech,
That's how this
Jason?
country and that's how our
Mainly
founders have
about the
set
border.
this
I mean, I think that there is going to be a lot
country
of
up to
discussion
become
about immigration and
a
the border.
country
Trump
that
has
is
always felt that
all
this is a burning
about
issue for him,
the
and I think
people.
that's going to be a big
Everything
part
is
of
going to have to be a people-based movement.
Jasmine Wright.
The
So I
economy
want to thank you
and
guys
this
again for
tariffs
tuning in, and we're going to
move
just
that
continue
happened,
just to
overnight
monitor.
into today. Obviously,
We
there's
should be
some
expecting
there's some thinking
yours
that maybe
truly to
they
be
would
coming into the gallery pretty soon.
pull
So
back the
we'll be
tariffs or
waiting on
bring it
that.
down to a lower percentage.
So
But
thank you
people
guys
are
for tuning
concerned
in
about the
again
economy. They're
tonight.
giving Trump some more
Those
time,
of
and
you
there
that
are
are joining us
concerns. I
by
want to hear
Twitch,
how he
also
not just
we are
blames the Biden
streaming live
administration,
on
but how he
Rumble.
talks about it
We're
moving
also
forward.
streaming live on
Late
YouTube.
tonight or
We're
later tonight,
simulcasting
Howard
on
Lutnick, the new
Facebook.
Commerce Secretary,
Yeah.
We are making sure that we
He
can be
said
able
that
to get
he
this word out. And if you have an opportunity to be able to share
he
on any
said
one of
that
those
they had
platforms,
been
do
on
so.
the phone with
It'd
both
be
their
greatly
Mexican
appreciated, because
and
this is all
Canadian
about you
counterparts
guys. It's
trying
not
to make
about
a
us.
deal,
It's
and that
about you,
President Trump
our
may
viewers.
announce, if not here, maybe tomorrow, that they are pulling back some of the tariffs, not completely letting
So
them
let's
go,
just
but
listen
certainly
in.
pulling them back, as long as these countries say and then
Pulling back
become more forceful
tariffs.
on
Now,
issues like
we're
fentanyl
going to talk
and
about that
issues
tariff stuff
that
because
the reason
this
why
is a
these
big
tariffs were put
issue.
in place. But I think
And I
it's just
really feel
the
that
reality is that Trump saw the stock
that
markets.
President
He is
Trump
somebody who
isn't
follows the
doing the
stock markets.
American
He follows
people
them
any
quite religiously,
justice
and they were
by
going back and forth, really kind of
going
freaking
back and
out
forth with
negatively
our main two
about these tariffs. And so I don't think
trading
that the White House
partners.
will be
And
able to
it's
say
sad
quite
is
credibly
that
that
we
that
have to
wasn't the
sit back. We
reason,
have to continue to take
or
on
that
the
wasn't
brunt.
a
Those
reason
tariffs
as
hit
to why
last
they're
night,
kind of saying we're going to
and
pull these
we're
back.
not going to even talk
But
about the
certainly
tariffs. We
only
just
time
want
will
to just talk
tell
about this
what
economy,
percentage
because I
that
know it's
is,
a lot
how
of
much
people out
that
there
is,
that are
and whether or not
feeling
they still do
the
reciprocal
pinch that
tariffs on
you're
the goods
feeling
and
when you go
services.
into the
Lydia
supermarket.
Velasquez of
You've been
Democrat of New
feeling
York, talking with Nancy Pelosi
you've been
there,
feeling
both long-term
the
members.
pinch when it comes to paying your rent. Rents of trying to find out why aren't rents being
Apologize
capped.
for not recognizing
Um,
her face.
what else?
There are
We actually
62
have
new members of
in
Congress.
the state of Florida,
Nearly
you have
20% of the Congress
FP&L. They're talking
new.
about
And so that's a
raising
lot of new
the
members.
cost of the electricity in the state of Florida by I think it was about $1.3 billion. So that's going to affect every individual that's under the sound of my voice that lives in the state of Florida. Just know that your electric rates will be going up. In the coming weeks. And they're talking about, it may happen next year, but I'm not expecting it to happen next year. We want to just look over real quick. We see Melania Trump. She's entered into the gallery, into the presidential box there at the State of the Union, or the joint session of Congress, because it's really not a State of the Union because Trump hasn't spent the full year in office yet. So that's just a little bit of history for you guys that are watching and that's following
To answer your
along.
question, I wasn't surprised to see
But back to
that.
what I
I
was
think
just
this was the
saying.
first
A lot of people are not
since Donald
understanding
Trump
exactly the magnitude of what
took office.
we're witnessing
There
here
were some
inside of the
questions
United
about
States. There's
how
a lot of
much
stuff
she
that's
would
going
be
on in
in
the United States
Washington, how
that
frequently
that
she
is
would
out
be
of our
around.
that is
But I think
out
that there's a
of
real
our
shift in energy, not just from
out of our
the
grasp.
president, but also from her
But
office.
like
Trump
I
wants to do
said, this has
things
got to be a
much
people
differently
movement.
this time around.
In order for the people to understand
President's cabinet.
Okay, we had the president's cabinet coming in. I want to watch this real quick because I want to see if Elon Musk is going to be a part of the president's cabinet since, quote unquote, that he's not a member of the president's cabinet. He's just an advisor. Let's see. Let's look in real quick. Let's see if we can spot real quick. See, we got Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. And then we also have the Secretary of the Treasury that is following
And the
slowly
cabinet
behind. Then you
including
have the
Secretary of
Defense
State
Secretary,
Rubio, Secretary of the Treasury Besant. We saw there as well Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Pam Bondi,
Hegseth was
Florida's former Attorney General. Then we see the HSS
Mr. Lutnick,
Secretary,
the Commerce Secretary, who we talked about a little bit earlier.
Senator, not
RFK
Senator,
Jr.,
but
of course, HHS,
RFK
Scott
Jr.,
Turner,
Junior the Third.
HUD.
And then you also have the Secretary of Housing and Urban
I'm
Development.
so sorry, Sean Duffy.
But you already know there got to be a black guy that got to be in that position for some reason. I don't understand why in the heck both terms he's felt that
Senator from
it has to be at least a black face that's going to be in this cabinet, but the black face that's going to be in this cabinet is going to be a member of HUD, which I don't understand. But that's no here, no there.
We had Carol from Illinois,
Who else we have?
Mosley Braun. We have Angela Brooks, Maryland.
Kamala Harris was the
But
second.
I was thinking that we were going to probably have a couple of the members and stuff that were going to be from Congress that are not going to be attending. And I was wishing that some of the Democratic members were not going to be in attendance, but I see that most of them are. Most of them chose to attend tonight's presidential address.
Is that Brooke Rollins, the Ag Secretary?
But as far as that, so back to what I was saying, as far as like when it comes to the electricity, we're gonna talk more in depth about that story this evening. We're gonna talk about these high rates that we're going to be starting to see from FPNL pretty soon. Also, we have that's going to be that we're going to be discussing. We're going to be discussing Doge's breakdown on a lot of these costs that are so-called inflated costs to the national debt, in which the New York Times, I mean, they gave a blistering. They scold the entire Doge, the Doge, so-called Doge, which we already know that's pretty much a meme coin. And while we're speaking of Doge and we're talking about meme coins and cryptocurrency, if you notice over the weekend there was a large drop. All five coin-based cryptocurrency companies. They dumped a lot of those coins. They dumped a lot of their stuff. And so which the United States government is saying that they're going to formulate and bring a lot of our monies that they actually have on hold. They're going to take that money and they're going to put a lot of our money into crypto. In which I know the American people are not with that, because crypto, I don't knock crypto, but my thing is that why invest in something if it doesn't have any metal to back it up? Meaning, back in the days, the United States dollar we used to live on the gold standard, and now we don't live on the gold standard. So that's something to think about. So if you're going to say, okay, well, we're going to use crypto as a reserve currency just in case. Okay, just in case of what? But also, that's another thing that we're going to discuss. Also, we're going to talk about your grandparents, your elders, people that you know that are getting ready to start cashing in their Social Security. Most of those people are not going to be able to receive their Social Security checks. Supposedly, from what I'm reading, is by the end of March. They're saying by April 1.
And
that a
this
lot
is
of
like the beginning of
Social
this
Security benefits and stuff are going to be
magnificent cycle
that are going to be cut
that
off
we're
or
Yeah,
pretty
and you
much
can see that
practically
the
paused.
cabinet is still not
We also
completely
have
sure
as
whether or not
far
they'll
as
bring him in while there's still
housing
people in
subsidies.
the aisles.
And
But
then
he
also we
is
got to speak about
nearby. He's in
what the
polling
president is
room
talking
next
about.
to
They're
the chamber
protesting on college
and should be
campuses
coming
that
in
people will be
shortly. Just to
arrested
remind our viewers,
and they'll
obviously
be
we're going to
deported
shut off
back
the
to their
news
countries of
coverage
origin if they're
and listen
protesting
to everything
in
we've got
regards to
once the president
anything
leaves the room.
about the U.S.
Paul
government as far as
Salazar,
it being
and of course
pertaining
talking to
to
Chip Roy.
anything about the Gaza
Yes,
war or
that's
those type
our
of things.
senator
But we
from
also got to
Georgia,
talk about that as
RFK.
well,
I
about
haven't seen RFK
what's
Jr.
going to
yet,
happen
but
with the people in
I
Gaza.
don't know if that's
So I want to hear a lot of
Speaking of
stuff
Jeff Van Drew,
from
interesting
the president
conversation about
tonight.
fraud.
I'm really looking forward to a few things that he's going to be
Goofy
speaking
really
on.
did not
But my
fit
number
that
one
mold.
question is that I want to
Yeah, I
ask
mean, RFK
each and every
is,
one of you, and I want you just to make sure
quite
that
the
you weigh in
motivating
with your
one too. With this
questions
news outbreak, him
tonight
going
and
back and
ask
forth
those questions, and we'll get back to
whether or not
those
he
and
should
we'll
be
go through those
promoting vaccines, whether or
this
not he
evening
should be promoting
after the
homeopathic
presidential
remedies
address.
that aren't
And my
necessarily
number one
proven to
thing
have
is everything that I just laid out
much
are going to
weight
be
against
some
a
guidelines of
measles
what is
outbreak.
going to be inside of this speech.
I would be interested
And
to see if Dr. Speak brings
he
it up.
actually
I'd
talked
be a little
about a
shocked if he
5-point
does,
plan
but
inside of the speech that I've
Again,
read,
the
that it
current
mentioned
speech,
that
of
it's going to
course,
talk about
and
the cost of
the
eggs and
Democratic
how they're going to use
Senator Alyssa Slotkin,
fertility
President
to try
Democrat from
to be
Michigan,
able to get
will be
more eggs
speaking
and
from
stuff to
Michigan,
be produced.
and we will bring
The
that to our
farmers trying to
conversation.
get more
As
breeding
always,
to
after
happen
all
with
that,
the
we're going to
chickens and
get your
stuff on a
reaction.
lot of these
We're going to get your
farms.
reaction.
But then we
We're
also
also
look
going
at
to be here getting
these
reactions from viewers
tariffs,
and some of the
where a
play-outs
lot
of
of
the
our
speech,
farmers are going to
etc.
be really
And
hurt
before the
by a lot
president
of
comes
these
in,
tariffs
let's check
that
in
have
on
been
what
put
came
on by
through.
the Trump administration.
Quick excerpt from the
25%
president's speech
tariffs
tonight on tariffs.
to
You guys were talking
Mexico
about that and the impact of it on the economy. This
Canada,
is from Jake
and
Sherman.
also
Whatever they
China.
tariff us, they
China
tariff
also
them.
has
Whatever they
another
tax
tariff
us,
where
they
he
tax
added an
them.
additional
And
10%,
if they
so
do
total tariffs up
non-monetary
to
tariffs to keep us
30%.
out of their market,
And
then
China
we'll do
strategically targeted
non-monetary
each
barriers
and
to
every
keep them
last one
out
of the
of our
farmers.
market.
So I
So
want
we
to
can
see
expect to hear some tough
what
talk from
is
the
it
president
that
tonight
Donald
on
Trump
that. That is
is going
ahead
to
of
do to be able to
the
fix
markets
these
closing
issues.
tonight.
But mind
CNBC
you,
with this
when
headline:
Trump was
Dow Jones
last in
again
office,
loses more
he
than
came
1,500
up
points
with a
in
new
2
trade
days
agreement
as Trump
where it
ignites
was
the
working
trade
with
war. Peter?
Canada
Right, you were
and
talking
Mexico.
exactly about that.
He
yeah, I
signed
mean,
the deal
it is
that
going to
we
be
are in
incumbent upon the
that's in
president
place with our free
to
trade agreement
have
with
the
our
American
trading
people
partners,
understand
where we're
why
able to be able
he's
to
putting in place
offset
these
a lot of
tariffs
those costs
that in a
of what
lot
we
of
have to
ways
pay
have a
to
negative connotation even
our
amongst
neighbors to the
people
north and
within
to the
his own
south.
party. They're not
And so now
necessarily
Trump
one of
is
those
saying
quote
that
unquote
he
conservative
wants to put
values.
more
It's
tariffs on
something that
these individual
even as
companies
lawmakers
because he
publicly
feels
saying
that
we are
they
okay with
have
giving Trump the latitude
bamboozle
on
and
tariffs,
hoodwink
certainly
the
privately they're
American
concerned
people,
about
and
them.
were
They don't
able to
like them.
get
And so
more
I think that he's
out
going
of
to have
this
to
deal
explain
than
why.
the
Of
United
course, he
States
says that
was, and
tariffs
which
are his
isn't true,
fourth
because
favorite
this is a
word in the
deal that
dictionary. You said it was
he
first.
so
I
mind you that,
would be
and that was 4
surprised
years
if he
ago.
does not repeat that again
He replaced
in an
NAFTA
ad lib. But
with
yeah, I think
what
that
is it
tariffs
called?
are
I
going to
think
be a
it's
large part of this.
called.
For viewers
Don't
who are
quote me because I
seeing
may
the
butcher
State
it,
of the Union or a joint
but he
session
pretty
of the president,
uh,
on your
the
screen, the
agreement was
Republicans will be on the
what was
left,
it? It was
and the Democrats will be on the right. So you can
the
always
if
tell
I'm not
what the
mistaken, I
applause
think it was
lines
the
are by which side stands up, and it gets
MSCHT
pretty serious.
trade agreement or something like that, I
It
think.
absolutely does.
But
And
we'll have that
another thing
information
that I'm
after
looking
the
for,
speech
in
this
addition
evening.
to just some of
But
the policy notes that
just take
we're
that
looking at, is
into
just what
consideration
how
as
the
you
Democrats are going to
sit down and
approach
you
the
listen to
things
this
that they
speech tonight.
feel are a winner for them.
Um, I
Whether
know
it's
there's going to be a lot of
something
thunderous applause and
because
stuff
Trump does talk about
that is going
tariffs.
to be
He does talk about like how great
pushing
they
the
are.
president on
We're
to
seeing
say
him, as a general, the
about how
Democrats does not like
strong
them.
the
The Wall Street Journal,
economy
Florida
is.
Post doesn't like
But
them.
I posted something earlier
This
today.
is
Hold on one
kind
second.
of
Let me
across
see.
the board, and the economy over and over again came up as the #1 issue people are
Hold on
worried
one
about.
second. Let me
But
get my
he's
phone
also going to go
here.
for some base issues, like transgender,
Yeah, and
issues.
also like
How is that
some
going
of
to
the stuff
be
as far as
positive
like with the
for him? But
Here we go.
trans individuals. House.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
All right, and we have Donald J. Trump, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, is going to be entering into the gallery. Let's see how many Democrats are going to shake his hand, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about this on the other side. Because that's one thing that I'm mainly paying attention to tonight is how many individuals. Okay, it looks like he's pandering more to his left. Let's see who he has. I see Senator Burchett, no, Congressman Burchett from Tennessee. I see Senator Tommy Tupperville. It looked like it's more Republicans. It looked like it's Republicans on the left and right side of the aisle that's there in the gallery right now. That is odd. I've never seen that before in watching politics. Let's listen in to this for a few minutes. As we wait to hear the president speak, there are going to be a few things that I do want to hear. I don't know how long this speech is going to take, but we're going to make sure that we're going to stay here. We're going to come back with wall-to-wall information. We're going to talk to individuals to see how they felt about the. We're going to talk to the panel immediately after the speech this evening, and then we're going to talk about how do you feel? How do you guys feel about how this address went? And then we'll just talk to you guys on the other side. So we're going to tune in. I'm going to step away and I'm going to be taking my notes. And if it's some bull crap that I hear the president says, don't mind me. I'm going to blurt in and I'm going to fact check him in real time, guys. So just stay tuned. I thank you guys for tuning in again this evening. And we're going to tune in and listen to.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, the First Lady of the United States, members of the United States Congress, thank you very much. And to my fellow citizens, America is back. 6 weeks ago, I stood beneath the dome of this Capitol and proclaimed the dawn of the golden age of America. From that moment on, it has been nothing but swift and unrelenting action to usher in the greatest and most successful era in the history of our country. We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started. I return to this chamber tonight to report that America's momentum is back, our spirit is back, our pride is back, our confidence is back, and the American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before. The American dream is unstoppable, and our country is on the verge of a comeback, the likes of which the world has never witnessed and perhaps will never witness again. There's never been anything like it. The presidential election of November 5th was a mandate like has not been seen in many decades. We won all 7 swing states, giving us an electoral college victory of 312 votes. We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country.
It looks like Congressman. Is that Congressman?
And won counties in our country, 2,700 to 525, on a map that reads almost completely red for Republican.
Not Al Green. I know his last name is Green, but it's something like a.
Now, for the first time in modern history,
back in the day,
more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact, it's an astonishing record, 27-point swing, the most ever. Likewise, small business optimism saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and
What?
to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning.
We're talking about decorum. What about President Obama?
Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session.
And this is free speech in America. Ladies and gentlemen, we're witnessing it live. The fall of the First Amendment.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
This is ridiculous. This has never happened in U.S. history. Never.
Members are directed
Al Green
to
standing on
uphold and
business.
maintain decorum in
I
the
like
House.
that. That's what I want to
Mr.
see
President,
more of my
continue.
Democratic
Thank you.
elected officials.
Over the
do.
past 6 weeks, I
in
have signed
Congress.
nearly 100 executive orders and taken more than 400 executive actions, a record, to restore common sense, safety, optimism, and wealth all across our wonderful land. The people elected me to do the job, and I'm doing it. In fact, it has been stated by many that the first month of our presidency, it's our presidency, is the most successful in the history of our nation. By many. And what makes it even more impressive is that, do you know who number 2 is? George Washington. How about that? How about that? I don't know about that list, but we'll take it. Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country. And what a job they've done. As a result, illegal border crossings last month were by far the lowest ever recorded, ever. They heard my words and they chose not to come. Much easier that way. In comparison, under Joe Biden, the worst president in American history, there were hundreds of thousands of illegal crossings a month, and virtually all of them, including murderers, drug dealers, gang members, and people from mental institutions and insane asylums, were released into our country. Who would want to do that? This is my 5th such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way. So Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again. Every day, my administration is fighting to deliver the change America needs to bring a future that America deserves, and we're doing it. This is a time for big dreams and bold action. Upon taking office, I imposed an immediate freeze on all federal hiring, a freeze on all new federal regulations, and a freeze on all foreign aid. I terminated the ridiculous Green New Scam. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord, which was costing us trillions of dollars that other countries were not paying. I withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. And I also withdrew from the anti-American UN Human Rights Council. We ended all of Biden's environmental restrictions that were making our country far less safe and totally unaffordable. And importantly, we ended the last administration's insane electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto workers and companies from economic destruction. To unshackle our economy, I have directed that for every one new regulation, 10 old regulations must be eliminated, just like I did in my very successful first term. And in that first term, we set records on ending unnecessary rules and regulations like no other president had done before. We ordered all federal workers to return to the office. They will either show up for work in person or be removed from their job. And we've ended weaponized government where, as an example, a sitting president is allowed to viciously prosecute his political opponent, like me. How did that work out? Not too good. Not too good. And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back. And 2 days ago, I signed an order making English the official language of the United States of America. I renamed the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And likewise, I renamed, for a great president, William McKinley, Mount McKinley again. Beautiful Alaska. We love Alaska. We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military. And our country will be woke no longer. We believe that whether you are a doctor, an accountant, a lawyer, or an air traffic controller, you should be hired and promoted based on skill and competence, not race or gender. Very important. You should be hired based on merit. And the Supreme Court, in a brave and very powerful decision, has allowed us to do so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have removed the poison of critical race theory from our public schools, and I signed an order making it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. I also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports. Three years ago, Peyton McNabb was an all-star high school athlete, one of the best, preparing for a future in college sports. But when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side and ending her athletic career. It was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it. Peyton is here tonight in the gallery, and Peyton, from now on, schools will kick the men off the girls' team, or they will lose all federal funding. And if you really want to see numbers, just take a look at what happened in the women's boxing, weightlifting, track and field, swimming, or cycling, where a male recently finished a long-distance race 5 hours and 14 minutes ahead of a woman for a new record by 5 hours. Broke the record by 5 hours. It's demeaning for women, and it's very bad for our country. We're not going to put up with it any longer. What I have just described is only a small fraction of the common sense revolution that is now, because of us, sweeping the entire world. Common sense has become a common theme, and we will never go back. Never. Never going to let that happen. Among my very highest priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. As you know, we inherited from the last administration an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare. Their policies drove up energy prices, pushed up grocery costs, and drove the necessities of life out of reach for millions and millions of Americans. They've never had anything like it. We suffered the worst inflation in 48 years, but perhaps even in the history of our country. They're not sure. As president, I'm fighting every day to reverse this damage and make America affordable again. Joe Biden especially let the price of eggs get out of control. The egg price is out of control, and we're working hard to get it back down, Secretary. Do a good job on that. You inherited a total mess from the previous administration. Do a good job. A major focus of our fight to defeat inflation is rapidly reducing the cost of energy. The previous administration cut the number of new oil and gas leases by 95%, slowed pipeline construction to a halt, and closed more than 100 power plants. We are opening up many of those power plants right now. And frankly, we have never seen anything like it. That's why on my first day in office, I declared a national energy emergency. As you've heard me say many times, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any nation on earth, and by far. And now I fully authorize the most talented team ever assembled to go and get it. It's called Drill, Baby, Drill. My administration is also working on a gigantic natural gas pipeline in Alaska, among the largest in the world, where Japan, South Korea, and other nations want to be our partner with investments of trillions of dollars each. There's never been anything like that one. It will be truly spectacular. It's all set to go. The permitting is gotten. And later this week, I will also take historic action to dramatically expand production of critical minerals and rare earths here in the USA. To further combat inflation, we will not only be reducing the cost of energy, but will be ending the flagrant waste of taxpayer dollars. And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps. Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight. Thank you, Elon. He's working very hard. He didn't need this. He didn't need this. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Everybody here, even this side, appreciates it, I believe. They just don't want to admit that. Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real. $32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program. $20 million for a program. $1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her? A $3.5 million consulting contract for lavish fish monitoring. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. He's a real estate developer. He's done very well. $250,000 to increase vegan local climate action innovation in Zambia. $42 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well with learning. You know what we're doing. Should use it ourselves. And $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education. The most ever paid, nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration, all of these scams, and they're far worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about them. They're so bad. Many more have been found out and exposed and swiftly terminated by a group of very intelligent, mostly young people, headed up by Elon, and we appreciate it. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. And we've taken back the money and reduced our debt to fight inflation and other things. Taken back a lot of that money. We got it just in time. This is just the beginning. The Government Accountability Office, a federal government office, has estimated annual fraud of over $500 billion in our nation, and we are working very hard to stop it. We're going to. We're also identifying shocking levels of incompetence and probable fraud in the Social Security program for our seniors, and that our seniors and people that we love rely on. Believe it or not, government databases list 4.7 million Social Security members from people aged 100 to 109 years old. It lists 3.6 million people from ages 110 to 119. I don't know any of them. I know some people that are rather elderly, but not quite that elderly. 3.47 million people from ages 120 to 129. 3.9 million people from ages 130 to 139. 3.5 million people from ages 140 to 149. And money is being paid to many of them, and we're searching right now. In fact, Pam, good luck. Good luck. You're going to find it. But a lot of money is paid out to people because it just keeps getting paid, and nobody does, and it really hurts Social Security and hurts our country. 1.3 million people from ages 150 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases, are age over 160 years old. We have a healthier country than I thought, Bobby. Including, to finish, 1,039 people between the ages of 220 and 229 one person between the age of 240 and 249, and one person is listed at 360 years of age. More than 100 years older than our country. But we're going to find out where that money's going, and it's not going to be pretty. By slashing all of the fraud, waste, and theft we can find, we will defeat inflation, bring down mortgage rates, lower car payments and grocery prices, protect our seniors, and put more money in the pockets of American families. And today, interest rates took a beautiful drop, big, beautiful drop. It's about time. And in the near future, I want to do what has not been done in 24 years, balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it. With that goal in mind, we have developed in great detail what we are calling the Gold Card, which goes on sale very, very soon. For $5 million, we will allow the most successful job-creating people from all over the world to buy a path to U.S. citizenship. It's like the Green Card, but better and more sophisticated. And these people will have to pay tax in our country. They won't have to pay tax from where they came. The money that they've made, you wouldn't want to do that, but they have to pay tax, create jobs. They'll also be taking people out of colleges and paying for them so that we can keep them in our country instead of having them being forced out. Number one, at the top school, as an example, being forced out and not being allowed to stay and create tremendous numbers of jobs and great success for a company out there. So while we take out the criminals, killers, traffickers, and child predators who are allowed to enter our country under the open border policy of these people, the Democrats, the Biden administration, the open border insane policies that you've allowed to destroy our country, we will now bring in brilliant, hardworking, job-creating people. They're going to pay a lot of money, and we're going to reduce our debt with that money. Americans have given us a mandate for bold and profound change. For nearly 100 years, the federal bureaucracy has grown until it has crushed our freedoms, ballooned our deficits, and held back America's potential in every possible way. The nation founded by pioneers and risk-takers now drowns under millions and millions of pages of regulations and debt. Approvals that should take 10 days to get instead take 10 years, 15 years, and even 20 years before you're rejected. Meanwhile, we have hundreds of thousands of federal workers who have not been showing up to work. My administration will reclaim power from this unaccountable bureaucracy, and we will restore true democracy to America again. And any federal bureaucrat who resists this change will be removed from office immediately. Because we are draining the swamp. It's very simple. And the days of rule by unelected bureaucrats are over. And the next phase of our plan to deliver the greatest economy in history is for this Congress to pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there. They're waiting for you to vote. And I'm sure that the people on my right, I don't mean the Republican right, but my right here, I'm sure you're going to vote for those tax cuts, because otherwise I don't believe the people will ever vote you into office. So I'm doing you a big favor by telling you that. But I know this group is going to be voting for the tax. Thank you. It's a very, very big part of our plan. We had tremendous success in our first term with it. A very big part of our plan. We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board. And to get urgently needed relief to Americans hit especially hard by inflation, I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors. And I also want to make interest payments on car loans tax deductible, but only if the car is made in America. And by the way, we're going to have growth in the auto industry like nobody's ever seen. Plants are opening up all over the place. Deals are being made. Never seen. That's a combination of the election win and tariffs. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? That, along with our other policies, will allow our auto industry to absolutely boom. It's going to boom. Spoke to the majors today, all three, the top people, and they're so excited. In fact, already numerous car companies have announced that they will be building massive automobile plants in America, with Honda just announcing a new plant in Indiana, one of the largest anywhere in the world. And this has taken place since our great victory on November 5th, a date which will hopefully go down as one of the most important in the history of our country. In addition, as part of our tax cuts, we want to cut taxes on domestic production and all manufacturing. And just as we did before, we will provide 100% expensing. It will be retroactive to January 20th, 2025. And it was one of the main reasons why our tax cuts were so successful in our first term, giving us the most successful economy in the history of our country. First term. We had a great first term. If you don't make your product in America, however, under the Trump administration, you will pay a tariff, and in some cases, a rather large one. Other countries have used tariffs against us for decades, and now it's our turn to start using them against those other countries. On average, the European Union, China, Brazil, India, Mexico, and Canada, have you heard of them? And countless other nations charge us tremendously higher tariffs than we charge them. It's very unfair. India charges us auto tariffs higher than 100%. China's average tariff on our products is twice what we charge them. And South Korea's average tariff is 4 times higher. Think of that, 4 times higher. And we give so much help militarily and in so many other ways to South Korea, but that's what happens. This is happening by friend and foe. This system is not fair to the United States and never was, and so on April 2nd, I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to be accused of April Fool's Day. That's not, just one day cost us a lot of money. But we're going to do it in April. I'm a very superstitious person. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in. And whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them. If they do non-monetary tariffs to keep us out of their market, then we will do non-monetary barriers to keep them out of our market. There's a lot of that, too. They don't even allow us in their market. We will take in trillions and trillions of dollars and create jobs like we have never seen before. I did it with China, and I did it with others, and the Biden administration couldn't do anything about it because there was so much money they couldn't do anything about it. We have been ripped off for decades by nearly every country on earth, and we will not let that happen any longer. Much has been said over the last 3 months about Mexico and Canada, but we have very large deficits with both of them. But even more importantly, they've allowed fentanyl to come into our country at levels never seen before, killing hundreds of thousands of our citizens and many very young, beautiful people, destroying families. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They are, in effect, receiving subsidies of hundreds of billions of dollars. We pay subsidies to Canada and to Mexico of hundreds of billions of dollars, and the United States will not be doing that any longer. We're not going to do it any longer. Thanks to our America First policies we're putting into place, we have had $1.7 trillion of new investment in America in just the past few weeks. The combination of the election and our economic policies that people of SoftBank, one of the most brilliant anywhere in the world, announced a $200 billion investment. OpenAI and Oracle, Larry Ellison, announced $500 billion investment, which they wouldn't have done if Kamala had won. Apple announced $500 billion investment. Tim Cook called me. He said, I cannot spend it fast enough. It's going to be much higher than that, I believe. They'll be building their plants here instead of in China. And just yesterday, Taiwan Semiconductor, the biggest in the world, most powerful in the world, has a tremendous amount, 97% of the market, announced a $165 billion investment to build the most powerful chips on earth right here in the USA. And we're not giving them any money. Your CHIPS Act is a horrible, horrible thing. We give hundreds of billions of dollars, and it doesn't mean a thing. They take our money and they don't spend it. All that meant to them, we're giving them no money. All that was important to them was they didn't want to pay the tariffs, so they came and they're building, and many other companies are coming. We don't have to give them money. We just want to protect our businesses and our people. And they will come because they won't have to pay tariffs if they build in America. So it's very amazing. You should get rid of the CHIP Act, and whatever's left over, Mr. Speaker, you should use it to reduce debt or any other reason you want to. Our new trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the farmer. Who will now be selling into our home market, the USA, because nobody is going to be able to compete with you. Because there's goods that come in from other countries and companies. They're really in a bad position in so many different ways. They're uninspected. They may be very dirty and disgusting, and they come in and they pour in, and they hurt our American farmers. The tariffs will go on agricultural product coming into America, and our farmers, starting on April 2nd, it may be a little bit of an adjustment period. We had that before when I made the deal with China, $50 billion of purchases, and I said, just bear with me, and they did. They did. Probably have to bear with me again, and this will be even better. That was great. The problem with it was that Biden didn't enforce it. He didn't enforce it. $50 billion of purchases, and we were doing great, but Biden did not enforce it, and it hurt our farmers. But our farmers are going to have a field day right now. So to our farmers, have a lot of fun. I love you too. I love you too. It's all going to happen. And I have also imposed a 25% tariff on foreign aluminum, copper, lumber, and steel, because if we don't have, as an example, steel and lots of other things, we don't have a military, and frankly, we just won't have a country very long. Here today is a proud American steelworker, fantastic person from Decatur, Alabama, Jeff Denard. Has been working at the same steel plant for 27 years in a job that has allowed him to serve as the captain of his local volunteer fire department, raise 7 children with his beautiful wife, Nicole, and over the years provide a loving home for more than 40 foster children. So great, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Stories like Jeff's remind us that tariffs are not just about protecting American jobs. They're about protecting the soul of our country. Tariffs are about making America rich again and making America great again, and it's happening, and it will happen rather quickly. There'll be a little disturbance, but we're okay with that. It won't be much. No, you're not. Oh. And look where Biden took us. Very low, the lowest we've ever been. Jeff, I want to thank you very much. And I also want to recognize another person who has devoted herself to foster care community. She works so hard on it. A very loving person, our magnificent First Lady of the United States. Melania's work has yielded incredible results, helping prepare our nation's future leaders as they enter the workforce. Our First Lady is joined by 2 impressive young women, very impressive. Haley Ferguson, who benefited from the First Lady's Fostering the Future initiative and is poised to complete her education and become a teacher. And Elliston Berry, who became a victim of an illicit deepfake image produced by a peer. With Elliston's help, the Senate just passed the Take It Down Act, and this is so important. Thank you very much, John. John Thune, thank you. Stand up, John. Thank you, John. Thank you all very much. Thank you. And thank you to John Thune and the Senate. Great job. To criminalize the publication of such images online is a terrible, terrible thing. And once it passes the House, I look forward to signing that bill into law. Thank you. And I'm going to use that bill for myself, too, if you don't mind. Because nobody gets treated worse than I do online. Nobody. That's great. Thank you very much to the Senate. Thank you. But if we truly care about protecting Americans' children, no step is more crucial than securing America's borders. Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world. Because of Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies, they are now strongly embedded in our country, but we are getting them out and getting them out fast. And I want to thank Tom Homan and Christy. I want to thank you and Paul of Border Patrol. I want to thank you. What a job they've all done. Everybody, Border Patrol, ICE, law enforcement in general is incredible. We have to take care of our law enforcement. Have to. Last year, a brilliant 22-year-old nursing student named Laken Riley, the best in her class, admired by everybody, went out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia. That morning, Laken was viciously attacked, assaulted, beaten, brutalized, and horrifically murdered. Laken was stolen from us by a savage illegal alien gang member who was arrested while trespassing across Biden's open southern border and then set loose into the United States under the heartless policies of that failed administration. It was indeed a failed administration. He had then been arrested and released in a Democrat-run sanctuary city, a disaster, before ending the life of this beautiful young angel. With us this evening are Laken's beloved mother, Allison, and her sister, Lauren. Last year, I told Laken's grieving parents that we would ensure their daughter would not have died in vain. That's why the very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens who threaten public safety. It's a very strong, powerful act. It's called the Laken-Riley Act. So Allison and Lauren, America will never, ever forget our beautiful Laken Hope Riley. Thank you very much. Since taking office, my administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history, and we quickly achieved the lowest numbers of illegal border crossers ever recorded. Thank you. The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation, we must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president. Thank you. Joe Biden didn't just open our borders, he flew illegal aliens over them to overwhelm our schools, hospitals, and communities throughout the country. Entire towns like Aurora, Colorado, and Springfield, Ohio, buckled under the weight of the migrant occupation and corruption like nobody's ever seen before. Beautiful towns destroyed. Now, just as I promised in my inaugural address, we are achieving the great liberation of America. But there still is much work to be done. Here tonight is a woman I have gotten to know Alexis Nungary from Houston. Wonderful woman. Last June, Alexis's 12-year-old daughter, her precious Jocelyn, walked to a nearby convenience store. She was kidnapped, tied up, assaulted for 2 hours under a bridge, and horrifically murdered. Arrested and charged with this heinous crime are 2 illegal alien monsters from Venezuela, released into America by the last administration through their ridiculous open border. The death of this beautiful 12-year-old girl and the agony of her mother and family touched our entire nation greatly. Alexis, I promised that we would always remember your daughter, your magnificent daughter, and earlier tonight I signed an order keeping my word to you. One thing I have learned about Jocelyn is that she loved animals so much. She loved nature. Across Galveston Bay, from where Jocelyn lived in Houston, you will find a magnificent national wildlife refuge, a pristine, peaceful, 34,000-acre sanctuary for all of God's creatures on the edge of the Gulf of America. Alexis, moments ago, I formally renamed that refuge in loving memory of your beautiful daughter, Jocelyn. So, Mr. Vice President, if you would, may I have the order? Thank you very much. All 3 savages charged with Jocelyn and Lakin's murders were members of the Venezuelan prison gang, the toughest gang, they say, in the world, known as Tren de Aragua. 2 weeks ago, I officially designated this gang, along with MS-13 and the bloodthirsty Mexican drug cartels, as foreign terrorist organizations. They are now officially in the same category as ISIS, and that's not good for them. Countless thousands of these terrorists were welcomed into the U.S. by the Biden administration. But now every last one will be rounded up and forcibly removed from our country, or, if they're too dangerous, put in jails, standing trial in this country, because we don't want them to come back ever. With us this evening is a warrior on the front lines of that battle, Border Patrol Agent Roberto Ortiz. Great guy. In January, Roberto and another agent were patrolling by the Rio Grande near an area known as Cartel Island. Doesn't sound too nice to me. When heavily armed gunmen started shooting at them, Roberto saw that his partner was totally exposed, at great danger, and he leapt into action, returning fire and providing crucial seconds for his fellow agent to seek safety, just barely. I have some of the prints of that event, and it was not good. Agent Ortiz, we salute you for your great courage and for your line of fire that you took and for the bravery that you showed. We honor you, and we will always honor you. Thank you, Roberto, very much. Thank you, Roberto. And I actually got to know him on my many calls to the border. He's a great, great gentleman. The territory to the immediate south of our border is now dominated entirely by criminal cartels that murder, rape, torture, and exercise total control. They have total control over a whole nation, posing a grave threat to our national security. The cartels are waging war on America, and it's time for America to wage war on the cartels, which we are doing. Five nights ago, Mexican authorities, because of our tariff policies being imposed on them, think of this, handed over to us 29 of the biggest cartel leaders in their country. That has never happened before. They want to make us happy. First time ever. But we need Mexico and Canada to do much more than they've done, and they have to stop the fentanyl and drugs pouring into the USA. They're going to stop it. I have sent Congress a detailed funding request laying out exactly how we will eliminate these threats to protect our homeland and complete the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than current record holder, President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a moderate man, but someone who believed very strongly in borders. Americans expect Congress to send me this funding without delay so I can sign it into law. So, Mr. Speaker, John Thune, both of you, I hope you're going to be able to do that, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Mr. Leader, thank you. Thank you very much. And let's get it to me. I'll sign it so fast, you won't even believe it. And as we reclaim our sovereignty, we must also bring back law and order to our cities and towns. In recent years, our justice system has been turned upside down by radical left lunatics. Many jurisdictions virtually ceased enforcing the law against dangerous repeat offenders while weaponizing law enforcement against political opponents like me. My administration has acted swiftly and decisively to restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law, starting at the FBI and the DOJ. Pam, good luck. Cash, wherever you may be, good luck. Good luck. Pam Bondi. Good luck. So important. Going to do a great job. Cash, thank you. Thank you, Cash. They've already started very strong. They're going to do a fantastic job. You're going to be very proud of them. We're also once again giving our police officers the support, protection, and respect they so dearly deserve. They have to get it. They have such a hard, dangerous job, but we're going to make it less dangerous. The problem is the bad guys don't respect the law, but they're starting to respect it, and they soon will respect it. This also includes our great fire departments throughout the country. Our firemen and women are unbelievable people, and we'll never forget them. And besides that, they voted for me in record numbers, so I have no choice. One year ago this month, 31-year-old New York police officer Jonathan Diller, unbelievably wonderful person and a great officer, was gunned down at a traffic stop on Long Island. I went to his funeral. The vicious criminal charged with his murder had 21 prior arrests, and they were rough arrests, too. He was a real bad one. The thug in the seat next to him had 14 prior arrests, and went by the name of Killer. He was Killer. He killed other people, they say, a lot of them. I attended Officer Diller's service, and when I met his wife and one-year-old son, Ryan, it was very inspirational, actually. His widow's name is Stephanie, and she is here tonight. Stephanie, thank you very much, Stephanie. Thank you very much. Stephanie, we're going to make sure that Ryan knows his dad was a true hero, New York's finest, and we're going to get these cold-blooded killers and repeat offenders off our streets, and we're going to do it fast. Got to stop it. They get out with 28 arrests. They push people into subway trains. They hit people over the head, back of the head with baseball bats. We got to get them out of here. I've already signed an executive order requiring a mandatory death penalty for anyone who murders a police officer, and tonight I'm asking Congress to pass that policy into permanent law. I'm also asking for a new crime bill getting tough on repeat offenders while enhancing protections for America's police officers so they can do their jobs without fear of their lives being totally destroyed. They don't want to be killed. We're not going to let them be killed. Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service. Thank you, DJ. DJ's doctors believe his cancer likely came from a chemical he was exposed to when he was younger. Since 1975, rates of child cancer have increased by more than 40%. Reversing this trend is one of the top priorities for our new Presidential Commission to Make America Healthy Again, chaired by our new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. With the name Kennedy, you would have thought everybody over here would have been cheering. How quickly they forget. Our goal is to get toxins out of our environment, poisons out of our food supply, and keep our children healthy and strong. As an example, not long ago, and you can't even believe these numbers, 1 in 10,000 children had autism, 1 in 10,000. And now it's 1 in 36. There's something wrong. 1 in 36. Think of that. So we're going to find out what it is, and there's nobody better than Bobby and all of the people that are working with you. You have the best to figure out what is going on. Okay, Bobby? Good luck. It's a very important job. Thank you. Thank you. My administration is also working to protect our children from toxic ideologies in our schools. A few years ago, January Littlejohn and her husband discovered that their daughter's school had secretly socially transitioned their 13-year-old little girl. Teachers and administrators conspired to deceive January and her husband while encouraging her daughter to use a new name and pronouns. They, them pronoun, actually, all without telling January, who is here tonight and is now a courageous advocate against this form of child abuse. January, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Stories like this are why, shortly after taking office, I signed an executive order banning public schools from indoctrinating our children with transgender ideology. I also signed an order to cut off all taxpayer funding to any institution that engages in the sexual mutilation of our youth. And now I want Congress to pass a bill permanently banning and criminalizing sex changes on children and forever ending the lie that any child is trapped in the wrong body. This is a big lie. And our message to every child in America is that you are perfect exactly the way God made you. Because we're getting wokeness out of our schools and out of our military, and it's already out, and it's out of our society. We don't want it. Wokeness is trouble. Wokeness is bad. It's gone. It's gone. And we feel so much better for it, don't we? Don't we feel better? Our service members won't be activists and ideologues. They will be fighters and warriors. They will fight for our country. And Pete, congratulations. Secretary of Defense, congratulations. And he's not big into the woke movement, I can tell you. I know him well. I am pleased to report that in January, the U.S. Army had its single best recruiting month in 15 years, and that all armed services are having among the best recruiting results ever in the history of our services. What a difference. And you know, it was just a few months ago where the results were exactly the opposite. We couldn't recruit anywhere. We couldn't recruit. Now we're having the best results just about that we've ever had. What a tremendous turnaround. It's really a beautiful thing to see. People love our country again. It's very simple. They love our country, and they love being in our military again. So it's a great thing, and thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. We're joined tonight by a young man, Jason Hartley, who knows the weight of that call of duty. Jason's father, grandfather, and great-grandfather all wore the uniform. Jason tragically lost his dad, who was also a Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputy when he was just a boy, and now he wants to carry on the family legacy of service. Jason is a senior in high school, a 6-letter varsity athlete, a really good athlete, they say, a brilliant student with a 4.46, that's good, GPA. And his greatest dream is to attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. And Jason, that's a very big deal getting in. That's a hard one to get into. But I'm pleased to inform you that your application has been accepted. You will soon be joining the Corps of Cadets. Thank you. Jason, you're going to be on the long gray line, Jason. As Commander-in-Chief, my focus is on building the most powerful military of the future. As a first step, I'm asking Congress to fund a state-of-the-art Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA. And Ronald Reagan wanted to do it long ago, but the technology just wasn't there, not even close. But now we have the technology. It's incredible, actually. And other places they have it. Israel has it. Other places have it. And the United States should have it too, right, Tim, right? They should have it too. So I want to thank you. But it's a very, very important. This is a very dangerous world. We should have it. We want to be protected, and we're going to protect our citizens like never before. To boost our defense industrial base, we are also going to resurrect the American shipbuilding industry, including commercial shipbuilding and military shipbuilding. And for that purpose, I am announcing tonight that we will create a new Office of Shipbuilding in the White House and offer special tax incentives to bring this industry home to America where it belongs. We used to make so many ships. We don't make them anymore very much, but we're going to make them very fast, very soon. It will have a huge impact. To further enhance our national security, my administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it. Just today, a large American company announced they are buying both ports around the Panama Canal and lots of other things having to do with the Panama Canal and a couple of other canals. The Panama Canal was built by Americans for Americans, not for others, but others could use it. But it was built at tremendous cost of American blood and treasure. 38,000 workers died building the Panama Canal. They died of malaria. They died of snake bites and mosquitoes. Not a nice place to work. They paid them very highly to go there, knowing there was a 25% chance that they would die. The most expensive project also that was ever built in our country's history, if you bring it up to modern day costs. It was given away by the Carter administration for $1, but that agreement has been violated very severely. We didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. And we have Marco Rubio in charge. Good luck, Marco. Now, we know who to blame if anything goes wrong. Marco's been amazing, and he's going to do a great job. Think of it, he got 100 votes. You know, he was approved with actually 99, but the 100th was this gentleman, and I feel very certain. So let's assume he got 100 votes, and I'm either very, very happy about that or I'm very concerned about it. But he's already proven. I mean, he's a great gentleman. He's respected by everybody, and we appreciate you voting for Marco. He's going to do a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank you. He's doing a great job. Great job. And I also have a message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it. We will keep you safe. We will make you rich, and together we will take Greenland to heights like you have never thought possible before. It's a very small population, but very, very large piece of land and very, very important for military security. America is once again standing strong against the forces of radical Islamic terrorism. 3.5 years ago, ISIS terrorists killed 13 American service members and countless others in the Abbey Gate bombing during the disastrous and incompetent withdrawal from Afghanistan. Not that they were withdrawing, it was the way they withdrew. Perhaps the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. Tonight, I am pleased to announce that we have just apprehended the top terrorist responsible for that atrocity, and he is right now on his way here to face the swift sword of American justice. And I want to thank especially the government of Pakistan for helping arrest this monster. This was a very momentous day for those 13 families who I actually got to know very well, most of them, whose children were murdered, and the many people that were so badly, over 42 people, so badly injured on that fateful day in Afghanistan. What a horrible day. Such incompetence was shown that when Putin saw what happened, I guess he said, wow, maybe this is my chance. That's how bad it was. Should have never happened. Grossly incompetent people. I spoke to many of the parents and loved ones, and they're all in our hearts tonight. Just spoke to them on the phone. We had a big call. Every one of them called, and everybody was on the line, and they did nothing but cry with happiness. They were very happy, as happy as you can be under those circumstances. Their child brother, sister, son, daughter was killed for no reason whatsoever. In the Middle East, we're bringing back our hostages from Gaza. In my first term, we achieved one of the most groundbreaking peace agreements in generations, the Abraham Accords. And now we're going to build on that foundation to create a more peaceful and prosperous future for the entire region. A lot of things are happening in the Middle East. People have been talking about that so much lately with everything going on with Ukraine and Russia. But a lot of things are happening in the Middle East. It's a rough neighborhood, actually. I'm also working tirelessly to end the savage conflict in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians and Russians have been needlessly killed or wounded in this horrific and brutal conflict with no end in sight. The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes. $2,000 people are being killed every single week. More than that. They're Russian young people. They're Ukrainian young people. They're not Americans. But I want it to stop. Meanwhile, Europe has sadly spent more money buying Russian oil and gas than they have spent on defending Ukraine, by far. Think of that. They've spent more buying Russian oil and gas than they have defending. And we've spent perhaps $350 billion, like taking candy from a baby. That's what happened. And they've spent $100 billion. What a difference that is. And we have an ocean separating us, and they don't. But we're getting along very well with them, and lots of good things are happening. Biden has authorized more money in this fight than Europe has spent by billions and billions of dollars. It's hard to believe that they wouldn't have stopped it and said at some point, come on, let's equalize. You got to be equal to us. But that didn't happen. Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful? It's time to stop this madness. It's time to halt the killing. It's time to end this senseless war. If you want to end wars, you have to talk to both sides. Nearly 4 years ago, amid rising tensions, a history teacher named Mark Fogel was detained in Russia and sentenced to 14 years in a penal colony. Rough stuff. The previous administration barely lifted a finger to help him. They knew he was innocent, but they had no idea where to begin. But last summer, I promised his 95-year-old mother, Malphine, that we would bring her boy safely back home. After 22 days in office, I did just that, and they are here tonight. To Mark and his great mom, we are delighted to have you safe and sound and with us. As fate would have it, Mark Fogel was born in a small rural town in Butler, Pennsylvania. Have you heard of it? Where his mother has lived for the past 78 years. I just happened to go there last July 13th for a rally. That was not pleasant. And that is where I met his beautiful mom right before I walked onto that stage. And I told her I would not forget what she said about her son. And I never did I? Never forgot. Less than 10 minutes later, at that same rally, gunfire rang out, and a sick and deranged assassin unloaded 8 bullets from his sniper's perch into a crowd of many thousands of people. My life was saved by a fraction of an inch, but some were not so lucky. Corey Comparator was a firefighter, a veteran, a Christian, a husband, a devoted father, and above all, a protector. When the sound of gunshots pierced the air, it was a horrible sound. Corey knew instantly what it was and what to do. He threw himself on top of his wife and daughters and shielded them from the bullets with his own body. Corey was hit really hard. You know the story from there. He sacrificed his life to save theirs. 2 others, very fine people, were also seriously hit. But thankfully, with the help of 2 great country doctors, we thought they were gone and they were saved. So those doctors had great talent. We're joined by Corey's wife, Helen, who was his high school sweetheart, and their 2 beloved daughters, Allison and Kaylee. Thank you. To Helen, Allison, and Kaylee, Corey is looking down on his 3 beautiful ladies right now, and he is cheering you on. He loves you. He is cheering you on. Corey was taken from us much too soon, but his destiny was to leave us all with a shining example of the selfless devotion of a true American patriot. It was love like Corey's that built our country, and it's love like Corey's that is going to make our country more majestic than ever before. I believe that my life was saved that day in Butler for a very good reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. I believe that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. From the patriots of Lexington and Concord to the heroes of Gettysburg and Normandy, from the warriors who crossed the Delaware to the trailblazers who climbed the Rockies, and from the legends who soared at Kitty Hawk, to the astronauts who touched the moon. Americans have always been the people who defied all odds, transcended all dangers, made the most extraordinary sacrifices, and did whatever it took to defend our children, our country, and our freedom. And as we have seen in this chamber tonight, that same strength, faith, love, and spirit is still alive and thriving in the hearts of the American people. Despite the best efforts of those who would try to censor us, silence us, break us, destroy us, Americans are today a proud, free, sovereign, and independent nation that will always be free, and we will fight for it till death. We will never let anything happen to our beloved country, because we are a country of doers, dreamers, fighters, and survivors. Our ancestors crossed a vast ocean, strode into the unknown wilderness, and carved their fortunes from the rock and soil of a perilous and very dangerous frontier. They chased our destiny across a boundless continent. They built the railroads, laid the highways, and graced the world with American marvels like the Empire State Building, the mighty Hoover Dam, and the towering Golden Gate Bridge. They lit the world with electricity, broke free of the force of gravity, fired up the engines of American industry, vanquished the communists, fascists, and Marxists all over the world, and gave us countless modern wonders sculptured out of iron, glass, and steel. We stand on the shoulders of these pioneers who won and built the modern age. These workers who poured their sweat into the skylines of our cities. These warriors who shed their blood on fields of battle and gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. Now it is our time to take up the righteous cause of American liberty. And it is our turn to take America's destiny into our own hands and begin the most thrilling days in the history of our country. This will be our greatest era. With God's help, over the next 4 years, we are going to lead this nation even higher, and we are going to forge the freest, most advanced, most dynamic, and most dominant civilization ever to exist on the face of this earth. We are going to create the highest quality of life, build the safest and wealthiest and healthiest and most vital communities anywhere in the world. We are going to conquer the vast frontiers of science, and we're going to lead humanity into space and plant the American flag on the planet Mars and even far beyond. And through it all, we are going to rediscover the unstoppable power of the American spirit. And we are going to renew unlimited promise of the American dream. Every single day, we will stand up and we will fight, fight, fight for the country our citizens believe in and for the country our people deserve. My fellow Americans, get ready for an incredible future, because the golden age of America has only just begun. It will be like nothing that has ever been seen before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. Great honor. Thank you very much. Thank you. Get this place going, all right? Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much. Very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. See you soon.
Teaching young people to love America.
Well, I'm trying to. Great guy. Thank you.
That's your favorite.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Howard,
Thank you again. Thank you again. Won't forget.
So good. Yeah, it's good. So good, sir. Terrific, Mr. Really good. It's really outstanding. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good job.
Good job, Mr. President. Thanks.
Thank you.
Not just great.
President, one of your best speeches.
Thanks again, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for the phone call last night, too. Thank you.
You know that. Thank you very much. I'll do it. Just give me the information.
he talked about Joe Biden.
Thank you, everybody.
He talked about Joe Biden's economy. He said it was one of the worst economies ever done. He was saying that he was paying benefits to individuals that were well over 150 years old. And then he talked about how Social Security was a massive fraud, and that it was
Great job you're doing.
that is just a Ponzi scheme.
They stood for,
Thank you all.
they stood for another country, not our country.
Also, some of the CEOs they've been speaking out on Twitter, and they've been saying speaking of certain things about this evening.
Good job, Mr. President. Great job. Thank you so much. Great speech, sir. Great speech. Yes, sir.
Oh, good, good. How you doing? All right?
Did you get a chance to shake his hand earlier? Do you want me to get a picture of you shaking his hand or anything? You're good.
Thank you very much.
Let's do biofilm.
Thank you, darling.
Great, sir. Thank you. I love you. Best speech on the floor ever. Yeah, it was so good.
Thank you
So
very
good.
much.
You rocked it, Mr. President. We're with you. 100%. Crush.
Thank you.
Really good.
It was
Congratulations.
awesome. Yeah.
Best speech ever.
Thank you so much.
It was. Fantastic. Mr. President, that was a great speech.
That was awesome.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Great job. Let's go. Get down to that. You get down. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It's so great.
Thank you, everybody. Good job.
Thank you for mentioning God needs to help us.
Thank you. It's true.
Mr. President.
Thank you. Great speech. Great speech.
Thanks for taking my call.
Good luck. Yeah. My man.
Thank you for standing
You really triggered those people.
Tremendous, Mr. President. Thank you.
Somebody did.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the beneficial ownership and this week. That was
Oh,
a good
yeah.
time.
Thanks for mentioning farmers.
Well, we love our farmers. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Mr. President. You earned this night.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Worked hard. Thank you, man.
Proud of you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Great again, brother. Thank you. Good for being here.
I did indeed. You better believe it.
Very well done,
Good
sir.
endorsement.
President, home run.
Thank you very much.
job. Killed it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, everybody.
You did great.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Great to see you. Slam dunk.
You're doing good.
Thank you, sir. You did amazing, per usual.
Thank you. I'll see you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Hey, cheese. Thank you. Love you, Mr. President. Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Look at this beautiful.
New congressman from Eastern Washington. We've never met.
Oh,
Michael
that's
Baumgartner.
good.
I was one of Mike Leach's best friends.
Oh, that's
He thinks
good.
very
Oh,
highly
Mike
of you.
was, he was great.
Tremendous.
He was a great guy.
Great
What a
speech. Great speech.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, you did a great job.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Home run, Mr.
Yeah, right.
President. Home run. Home run.
That was a good one. President, good to see you, sir. Appreciate it. Good job.
job.
Thank you very much. Looking good. Look at them.
I need to talk to you about some buildings, some public buildings.
You let me know.
I will.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President.
The House will be in order.
And Representative Virginia Fox of North Carolina is gaveling the House out of session as the president has left the House chamber. The Democrats en masse walked out ahead of him, and the people that he was greeting on the way out were the Republican members who were there. They are in the majority, 218 Republicans, 215 Democrats, 2 empty seats, both Republican-held seats from Florida because of appointments to the White House, and Matt Gaetz' seat is the other one that is still open to special elections to bring the House up to 435. Well, you heard the president speak about almost 2 hours, about an hour and 45 minutes that he spoke. And we're going to be getting your reaction now this evening. 202 is the area code, 748-8920. If you are a Democrat, 748-8921. For Republicans, Independents, 748-8922. And if you want to send a text message, we'd love to hear from you. Please include your first name and your city, 202-748-8903. That number is reserved for text messages only. We'll begin taking those calls right after the Democratic response. Senator Elissa Slotkin, freshman Democrat from Michigan, will be giving that response in just a few minutes. Of course, we will go live to it. And after that, we will begin hearing your voices. But let's check in with Greta Bronner to some reaction to the president's speech.
Peter, let's start with some early headlines in reaction to the president's speech, starting with the LA Times. Their headline right now on their website: Trump takes credit for swift and unrelenting action on immigration, economy, and security. And this from the Washington Examiner, the conservative outlet here in Washington. Just getting started, Trump declares America is back. And then this headline from the Wall Street Journal: Trump touts early action, says he's just getting started. And in his speech, the president stood behind his tariffs and cheered Musk's DOGE moves. And then from the Washington Post, Trump doubles down on sweeping deportation efforts. And finally, from Capitol Hill, Politico's headline this evening: Trump makes it a culture war speech. Speaker Mike Johnson ordering Representative Al Green removed from the chamber after the Texas Democrat shouted that Trump had no mandate. And Al Green catching up with reporters after he was removed from the chamber, saying, "I'll accept the punishment if there is one. It's worth it to let people know that there's some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security." By the way, other protests were taking place by Democrats. Manu Raju of CNN noting that in a sign of protest, House and Senate Democratic leaders didn't leave to join the escort committee, despite being called to do so. That's the committee of Republicans and Democratic leaders that follow the president into the chamber. A spokesperson for Hakeem Jeffries told me it speaks for itself. We'll show you other moments throughout the speeches, the speech tonight by the president, how Democrats were reacting in the chamber, and of course, getting our viewers' reaction as well. Peter?
In about a minute, Elissa Slotkin, freshman senator from Michigan, will be giving the Democratic response from Michigan. That's why she was not there tonight. So we will bring that to you live. She was elected this past election cycle in 2024, had served in the House from 2019 to 2025, former acting assistant defense secretary in the Obama administration, and a former CIA analyst. We're going to put the numbers back up on the screen. Dial in. We're going to take those calls right after Senator Slotkin speaks. 202 is the area code for all of our numbers. And here is Senator Slotkin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Slotkin. I'm honored to have the opportunity to speak tonight. It's late, so I promise to be a lot shorter than what you just watched. I won't take it personally if you've never heard of me. I'm the new senator from the great state of Michigan, where I grew up. I've been in public service my entire life because I happened to be in New York City on 9/11 when the Twin Towers came down. Before the smoke cleared, I knew I wanted to make a life in national security. I was recruited by the CIA and did 3 tours in Iraq alongside the military. In between, I worked at the White House under President Bush and President Obama, 2 very different leaders who both believed that America is exceptional. You can find that same sense of patriotism here in Wyandotte, Michigan, where I'm speaking from tonight. It's a working class town just south of Detroit. President Trump and I both won here in November. It might not seem like it, but plenty of places like this still exist across the United States. Places where people believe that if you work hard and play by the rules, you should do well and your kids should do better. It reminds me of how I grew up. My dad was a lifelong Republican, my mom a lifelong Democrat. But it was never a big deal because we had shared values that were bigger than any one party. We just went through another fraught election season. Americans made it clear that prices are too high and that the government needs to be more responsive to their needs. America wants change, but there's a responsible way to make change and a reckless way. And we can make that change without forgetting who we are as a country and as a democracy. So that's what I'm going to lay out tonight. Because whether you're from Wyandotte or Wichita, most Americans share 3 core beliefs: that the middle class is the engine of our country, that strong national security protects us from harm, and that our democracy, no matter how messy, is unparalleled and worth fighting for. Let's start with the economy. Michigan literally invented the middle class. The revolutionary idea that you could work at an auto plant and afford the car you were building. That's the American dream. And in order to expand and protect the middle class, we have to do a few basic things. We need to bring down the price of things we spend the most money on: groceries, housing, healthcare. We need to make more things in America with good-paying union jobs and bring our supply chains back home from places like China. We need to give American businesses the certainty they need to invest and create the jobs of the future. And we need a tax system that's fair for people who don't happen to make $1 billion. Look, the president talked a big game on the economy, but it's always important to read the fine print. So, do his plans actually help Americans get ahead? Not even close. President Trump is trying to deliver an unprecedented giveaway to his billionaire friends. He's on the hunt to find trillions of dollars to pass along to the wealthiest in America. And to do that, he's going to make you pay in every part of your life. Grocery and home prices are going up, not down, and he hasn't laid out a credible plan to deal with either of those. His tariffs on allies like Canada will raise prices on energy, lumber, and cars, and start a trade war that will hurt manufacturing and farmers. Your premiums and prescriptions will cost more because the math on his proposals doesn't work without going after your health care. Meanwhile, for those keeping score, the national debt is going up, not down. And if he's not careful, he could walk us right into a recession. And one more thing. In order to pay for his plan, he could very well come after your retirement, the Social Security, Medicare, and VA benefits you worked your whole life to earn. The president claims he won't, but Elon Musk just called Social Security the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time. While we're on the subject of Elon Musk, is there anyone in America who is comfortable with him and his gang of 20-year-olds using their own computer servers to poke through your tax returns, your health information, and your bank accounts? No oversight, no protections against cyber attack, no guardrails on what they do with your private data. We need a more efficient government, You want to cut waste? I'll help you do it. But change doesn't need to be chaotic or make us less safe. The mindless firing of people who work to protect our nuclear weapons, keep our planes from crashing, and conduct the research that finds the cure for cancer, only to rehire them 2 days later, no CEO in America could do that without being summarily fired. Okay, so we've talked about economic security. How about national security? Let's start with the border. As someone who spent my whole career protecting our homeland, every country deserves to know who and what is coming across its border, period. Democrats and Republicans should all be for that. But securing the border without rolling in his grave. We all want an end to the war in Ukraine, but Reagan understood that true strength required America to combine our military and economic might with moral clarity. And that scene in the Oval Office wasn't just a bad episode of reality TV. It summed up Trump's whole approach to the world. He believes in cozying up to dictators like Vladimir Putin and kicking our friends like the Canadians in the teeth. He sees American leadership as merely a series of real estate transactions. As a Cold War kid, I'm thankful it was Reagan and not Trump in office in the 1980s. Trump would have lost us the Cold War. Donald Trump's actions suggest that in his heart, he doesn't believe we're an exceptional nation. He clearly doesn't think we should lead the world. Look, America is not perfect, but I stand with the majority of Americans who believe we are still exceptional, unparalleled. And I would rather have American leadership over Chinese or Russian leadership any day of the week. Because for generations, America has offered something better. Our security and our prosperity, yes, but our democracy, our very system of government, has been the aspiration of the world. And right now, it's at risk. It's at risk when the president decides you can pick and choose what rules you want to follow, when he ignores court orders and the Constitution itself, or when elected leaders stand by and just let it happen. But it's also at risk when the president pits Americans against each other, when he demonizes those who are different and tells certain people they shouldn't be included. Because America is not just a patch of land between two oceans. We are more than that. Generations have fought and died to secure the fundamental rights that define us. Those rights and the fight for them make us who we are. We're a nation of strivers, risk takers, innovators, and we are never satisfied. That is America's superpower. And look, I've lived and worked in many countries. I've seen democracies flicker out. I've seen what life is like when a government is rigged. You can't open a business without paying off a corrupt official. You can't criticize the guys in charge without getting a knock at the door in the middle of the night. So as much as we need to make our government more responsive to our lives today, don't for one moment fool yourself that democracy isn't precious and worth saving. But how do we actually do that? I know a lot of you have been asking that question. First, don't tune out. It's easy to be exhausted, but America needs you now more than ever. If previous generations had not fought for this democracy, where would we be today? Second, hold your elected officials, including me, accountable. Watch how they're voting. Go to town halls and demand they take action. That's as American as apple pie. Third, organize. Pick just one issue you're passionate about and engage. And doom scrolling doesn't count. Join a group that cares about your issue and act. And if you can't find one, start one. Some of the most important movements in our history have come from the bottom up. In closing, we all know that our country is going through something right now. We're not sure what the next day is going to hold, let alone the next decade. But this isn't the first time we've experienced significant and tumultuous change as a country. I'm a student of history, and we've gone through periods of political instability before. And ultimately, we've chosen to keep changing this country for the better. But every single time, we've only gotten through those moments because of two things: engaged citizens and principled leaders. Engaged citizens who do a little bit more than they're used to doing to fight for the things that they care about, and principled leaders who are ready to receive the ball and do something about it. So thank you tonight for caring about your country. Just by watching, you qualify as engaged citizens. And I promise that I and my fellow Democrats will do everything in our power to be the principled leaders that you deserve. Good night, everyone.
And that was Elissa Slotkin, about 11 minutes from Wyandotte, Michigan, with the Democratic response. She's a freshman senator, former Assistant Secretary of Defense, former CIA analyst, former representative. We're going to get to your calls after we check in one more time with Greta Brawner.
Peter, Elissa Slotkin promising to be brief tonight, and she was, especially in comparison to President Trump. He set a record tonight in this speech. Take a look at what C-SPAN has put out on X tonight. We are tracking the length of the speech as we usually do here on C-SPAN, and President Trump clocking in at just under 100 minutes, 99 minutes and change there, the longest address to Congress in U.S. history. Look how it compares to previous presidents and their State of the Union addresses. Biden back in 2021, going almost 65 minutes. He held the record, and President Trump tonight with 1 hour, 39 minutes and 38 seconds. Peter?
And now to your phone calls and your voices. We want to get your reaction to what President Trump had to say or the Democratic response. Phil is in Queens, New York, a Democrat. Phil, you're first up this evening. Good evening.
Thanks for taking my call, and thanks to C-SPAN. Always great coverage. And when you watch C-SPAN, you're really there. All the other networks have talking heads for most of the time. I'm now a Trump Democrat.
is through the concept of the big lie, and boy, did we hear that tonight. You say something that is grossly false, say it over and over again, and have right-wing social media blast it out endless times until people actually believe it. And then, rather than address the real issues facing the American people, the struggles that the American people are facing, we find ourselves wasting endless amounts of time discussing Trump's absurdities. Let me just give you a very few examples. Trump claimed that the 2020 election was stolen from him and that he won by a landslide. Remember that? A lie. Trump claimed that the January 6th insurrection was a day of love. A lie. Trump has claimed that millions of undocumented people voted and do vote in American elections. A lie. Trump has claimed that climate change is a hoax originating in China. A lie. Trump has claimed that Ukraine started the horrific war with Russia. A lie. And tonight, just tonight, Trump claimed that millions of dead people between the ages of 100 and 360, I guess, were collecting Social Security checks. And that is an outrageous lie intended to lay the groundwork for cuts to Social Security and dismantling the most successful and popular government program in history. So let's be clear about that. Well over 99% of Social Security checks are going out to people who earned those checks. 70 million Americans. Nobody who was 150 years old or 200 years old or 300 years old is receiving Social Security checks. And on the lies go. Now, the purpose of all of this lying is not just to push his hateful right-wing ideology. It is not just to try to divide us up. It is more than that. It is a masterful effort, and you saw that tonight, to deflect attention away from the most important issues facing the people of our country. Issues that Trump and his billionaire friends do not want to address because it is not in their financial interests to do so. Trump gave his State of the Union speech tonight. But if you listen closely, that speech had very little to say about the State of the Union, about what is really going on in our country, especially for working families. Trump spoke for over 90 minutes, although I must confess it seemed a lot longer than that, and he almost completely ignored the issues that are keeping working people up at night as they worry about how their families are going to survive in these very tough times. And I will tell you exactly why Trump had very little to say about the real crises facing the working class of this country. Think back 6 weeks ago when Trump was inaugurated for his second term as president, just 6 weeks ago. Standing right behind him were the three wealthiest men in this country, Mr. Musk, Mr. Bezos, and Mr. Zuckerberg. And standing behind them were 13 other billionaires who Trump had nominated to head major government agencies. Many of these same billionaires, including Musk, were in the Capitol tonight listening to that speech. In other words, it is there for all to see. The Trump administration is not hiding it. The Trump administration is a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, and for the billionaire class. Notwithstanding some of their rhetoric, this is a government that could care less about ordinary Americans and the working families of our country. My friends, we are no longer moving toward oligarchy. We are living in an oligarchic society. Now let's take a moment and try to escape from Trump's parallel universe, the universe that you heard tonight. And let's do something really, really radical. Let's actually take a hard look at the problems that Americans are facing. Today, 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Unlike Trump, I grew up in a family that lived paycheck to paycheck, and I know something about that reality. It means that every day Every day, millions of Americans worry about how they're going to pay their rent, pay for childcare, pay for a doctor's visit when they get sick. They worry about what happens when their car breaks down and they can't afford the $1,000 it costs to get it fixed. And what happens when they can't get to work because they don't have a car. They worry about how they can afford to buy healthy food for their kids when the price of food is off the charts. Funny? I heard Trump speaking for 90 minutes tonight. I didn't hear one word from him about the economic reality facing 60% of our people or the enormous stress that they are living under. 90-minute speech, not one word about the economic reality facing American workers. But that's not all. Today in America, everyone knows that our healthcare system is broken. It is dysfunctional, and it is outrageously expensive. We remain the only wealthy nation on earth not to guarantee health care for all. Mr. President, you really want to make America great again? Then make sure that every American, regardless of income, can go to a doctor or a hospital and not worry about how they're going to pay the bills. President Trump, health care is a human right. I didn't hear one word from you, not one word. Over 90-minute speech, not one word from you about the health care crisis that is impacting many, many millions of our people. Nor did I hear you say why we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, sometimes 10 times more than the people in other countries, and why 1 out of 4 Americans are unable to afford the prescriptions their doctors prescribe. Not one word about the outrageously high cost of prescription drugs. Mr. President, we have nearly 800,000 Americans who are homeless. Over 20 million of our people spend more than half of their limited income on housing. We have a major housing crisis in America. Everyone knows it, apparently, except you, because in your speech tonight, I didn't hear you mention the housing crisis. Today in America, we have more income and wealth inequality than we've ever had. 3 richest people in America, the folks Trump invited to stand behind him at his inauguration, now own more wealth than the bottom half of our society, 170 million Americans. Did anyone out there hear one word from the President of the United States on that enormously important issue which gets to the very fabric of our society? So few owning so much while so many people suffer. And here's something else the President forgot to discuss. Not only is our life expectancy 4 years lower than other wealthy countries, the bottom 50% in this country, the working class of America, on average, live 7 years shorter lives than the top 1%. Got that? In other words, being poor or working class in this country today is a death sentence. Did you hear any discussion tonight as to why so many of our people are living shorter lives than they should? During his speech tonight, Trump did not have one word to say about how we are going to address the planetary crisis of climate change. The last 10 years, as most Americans know, have been the warmest ever recorded, and extreme weather disturbances and natural disasters have been taking place all over the world, from California to India, across Europe to North Carolina. And yet, not surprisingly, Trump had nothing to say about climate change except, I guess, drill, baby, drill. Well, that's going to help a whole lot. And let's be clear. Not only did Trump fail to talk about some of the most important issues facing the working class of America, but the solutions, in quote, he proposed would only make a bad situation even worse. Yep, I did hear Trump talk tonight about some tax breaks for working families in terms of not taxing tips, not taxing Social Security, and not taxing overtime. Fine. but that is chump change compared to the benefits he's going to give to the 1%, and it doesn't tell the whole story about his tax policies. According to a recent study by the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, if all of Trump's so-called America First policies are enacted, including his tariffs, which he spoke a lot about tonight, the bottom 95% of Americans will see their taxes go up, while the richest 5% in our country will see their taxes go down, way down. Tonight, in so many words, Trump urged Congress to pass his big, beautiful budget. Do you know what's really in it? This budget would cut Medicaid by $880 billion. Oh, I guess Trump forgot to talk about that. $880 billion cut in Medicaid. According to one estimate, it means that up to 36 million Americans, including millions of children, would be thrown off the health insurance they have. Hey, a 90-minute speech tonight, not one word about throwing millions of kids off of the health insurance they have. When you cut Medicaid drastically, it means that nursing homes that receive 2/3 of their funding from Medicaid will either have to shut down, lay off workers, or significantly scale back the services they provide seniors. Gee, I didn't hear that from Trump tonight either. It would be a devastating blow, these cuts to Medicaid, for the 32 million Americans who get their health care at community health centers. And it's not just Medicaid that Trump's budget would cut. It would also cut nutrition assistance by at least $230 billion. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. And can you imagine? The billionaire class, people who can support their families, some of these guys have tens of billions of dollars, support their families for the next 10 generations, 50 generations. People who live in incredible opulence. People who own their own jet planes, they own their own private islands, they own their own spaceships, trying to get tax breaks by taking food out of the mouths of low-income kids. That truly is disgusting. What we are seeing is the Robin Hood principle in reverse, taking from the poor and giving to the rich and the very, very rich. And here is something else Trump has been doing. For the past several weeks, he and his good friend Elon Musk, who is up there in the audience tonight, have been throwing hundreds of thousands of federal employees off their jobs. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, that's too bad, but that's the federal government, not me, it's not me, it's just those guys who work for the federal government. But I want you to think about this. Think about it for a moment. If Musk and his friends can arbitrarily throw federal workers out on the street today, what do you think that Musk and his fellow billionaires will be doing tomorrow when artificial intelligence and robotics explode in this country? Do you think they'll give a damn about you and your families? No, they will treat you exactly the way they're treating federal employees today. You will be out on the street as well. But it is not only absurd domestic policies that we've got to fight. For the first time in our 250-year history, we have a president who is turning his back on democracy and allying us with authoritarianism. No, we must not abandon the people of Ukraine who were invaded by the Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. We must always stand for democracy, not dictatorship. Let me be very clear. Regardless of where Trump is taking this country, here's what I think and what I believe the American people want us to do. They want us to end a corrupt campaign finance system. Well, golly gee, I didn't hear Mr. Trump talk about that tonight. A corrupt campaign finance system which allows a handful of billionaires to buy elections. It is beyond crazy that someone like Elon Musk can contribute over $270 million to help get Trump elected and then He gets to run the government. It is absurd that any member of Congress who stands up to Netanyahu's brutal war in Gaza can expect to be opposed by millions of dollars in campaign contributions coming from AIPAC. The American people want us to end this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision and move to the public funding of elections. Democracy is supposed to be about one person, one vote, not billionaires buying the political candidates of their choice. And further, no, we should not be giving tax breaks to billionaires. That's not what we should be doing. We must demand that the wealthiest people in this country start paying their fair share of taxes. We must raise the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour to a living wage of at least $17 an hour. We must make it easier for workers to join trade unions, grow the union movement, and prevent corporations from violating labor laws with impunity by passing the PRO Act, legislation that I will be introducing tomorrow. No, we are not going to cut Social Security. Quite the contrary. We must expand Social Security benefits and extend its solvency for the next 75 years by scrapping the cap that allows a billionaire to pay the same amount into Social Security as a truck driver. Too many of our seniors are hurting today for us to be talking about cutting Social Security. Over 20% seniors in this country living on $15,000 a year or less. Further, instead of making massive cuts to Medicaid, we must join every other major country in guaranteeing health care to all of our people through a Medicare for All single-payer program. We must also take on the greed of the pharmaceutical industry, get them to charge us what they charge other countries, reducing
and as an American society. So I want to thank Senator Bernie Sanders for his response in regards to the State of the Union. But what I do want to do is we're gonna do some gonna be some polling that's gonna be coming in, and I'm gonna try to replay this a little bit. I'm just gonna wait until it plays because I don't want to get flagged. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over to Representative Al Green, who was kicked out of Trump's speech. And when he was kicked out of the speech, he stood up. Let me see. I think I want to play both videos. Let me go and see if I can get the other video up. Production team, can we try and see if we can get that going? All right, we're going to start sharing that screen, and then what I'm going to do is hold on one second, guys. What we'll do is I'm going to play because I'm going to need to have this video queued so that way we can see exactly what took place during that interaction between President Trump and Congressman Al Green. So let me get this pulled up real quick on YouTube. Let's get this. So I'm going to stop that. Let's pull up Al Green. Kicked out. And then what we'll do is we'll go. So let me go ahead. Let me try and see if I can get this screen to share. Production team, we're going to have to go over there. It's going to be screen 3. Screen 3. All right, hold on, guys. Just waiting on them to get this up. I know that we've lost connection on one end. Let me get myself pulled over. And that's the one issue that we're having right now. Let's try and see if we can get that pulled up. It's going to be Democrat Al Green kicked out. So we're going to go and look at the exact moment of when he was kicked out of the U.S. House of Representatives chamber. So what we'll do, production team that's on screen 3. Okay. I can see it there. Can you go ahead and see if you can get that pulled up real quick? We're going to take it full mass. All right. Let's see. Okay. I got to add it to the scene. All right. 1 second. I'm going to go full screen on that. Okay. All right. I got it. All right. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. You know, we're live and we're working back and forth. So I want to thank the, our production team that we have that's on my IC that's behind the scenes is trying to make sure that we got all this stuff moving smooth. So let's look at the exact moment of when Democrat Al Green was kicked out of Trump's presidential address.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now that we see what took place during that altercation, now let's go and see what did he have to say once he was fully escorted out of chambers. And yeah, it's going to be screen tab. Yeah, you're gonna have to cancel. Okay, stop sharing that screen. Okay, you got to stop. All right. 1 second, guys. I'm just trying to make sure that we got everything rolling right inside and on the production side. Okay, I'm back full mass here. Okay, we got to connect screen 3. All right, thank y'all guys for tuning in this evening as we are continuing trying to get that up in queue. Okay, we got a queue. Just making sure that we got this queued. Okay, we're going to share that screen. All right, going to take that full mass. Full mass. All right. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and just let me bring this screen up. So I got that screen up. Okay, there we go. All right, so here's the exact altercation after the situation where he left out of the chambers in protest, which I commend Congressman Al Green of that. That was very courageous. He was about the only Democrat that I actually seen that took the initiative. Mind you, Al Green was the first person to enter in during Trump's first term articles of impeachment during his first term because he spoke about that quid pro quo of what took place against Ukraine and him and President Zelensky and President Trump during his first term. And that's what ultimately got Trump impeached the first time. So we're going to listen into that. That's just give you a brief history about who Mr. Al Green is. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to listen to what that says. But also I want to bring it back to at the end of that, we're going to come back and I'm going to talk to you guys about what the House Speaker words of what he said that I didn't agree with them on. And then I want to talk to you guys on the other end about the decorum portion. So we're going to listen into Congressman Al Green, Democrat from Texas, Congressional District. I think he serves Fort Worth.
That said he had a mandate. And I was making it clear to the president that he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. I have people who are very fearful. These are poor people, and they have only Medicaid in their lives when it comes to their health care. And I want him to know that his budget calls for deep cuts in Medicaid. He needs to save Medicaid, protect it. We need to raise the cap on Social Security. There's a possibility that it's going to be hurt, and we've got to protect Medicare. These are the safety net programs that people in my congressional district depend on. And this president seems to care less about them and more about the number of people that he can remove from the various programs that have been so helpful to so many people.
So is yelling during his speech the best way to get that across?
It is the best way to get it across to a person who uses his incivility against our civility. He is a person who has consistently been used incivility against civility.
Do you have no mandate? Is that what you said?
Well, look, I'm willing to suffer whatever punishment is available to me. I didn't say to anyone, don't punish me. I've said I'll accept the punishment, but it's worth it to let people know that there are some of us who are going to stand up against this president's desire to cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
So were you saying you have no mandate? Is that what you just said?
That's what he has no mandate to cut Medicaid. None.
Is the only punishment that you were kicked out, sir? Is there something?
I don't know. Whatever the punishment is, I'm not fighting the punishment. This is about the people who are being punished by virtue of losing their health care. This is the richest country in the world, and we have people who don't have good health care. We've got to do better. And now we're about to cut Medicaid, which is for poor people. Health care has become wealth care for many people, and we can't afford to let that happen.
Is that the only thing that you're protesting?
No, I have other things I'm protesting. And I'm also working on my articles of impeachment. This president is unfit. He should not hold the office. 34 felony convictions, 2 times impeached.
Sir, tell me one more time what you were shouting in the chamber.
That he has no mandate to cut Medicaid.
That's what you were saying over and over. Thank you, sir.
Yes, no mandate. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
So you heard the words from Congressman Al Green. He said that the president, he has no mandate to cut Medicaid or Medicare. That is what he said inside of the chambers, and he was removed from the chambers during that hearing. But also, I want to take that back to Congressman, I'll say House Speaker Mike. What is his name? Yeah, Mike Johnson. So just to take back to what he said and what he mentioned during that exchange, he said if anybody interrupts, we have to make sure that we keep house decorum. But where was the house decorum when Marjorie Taylor Greene is sitting in the gallery? She's sitting there in her seat that says it's a MAGA hat. You're not supposed to have any type of campaign paraphernalia, anything of the magnitude as an elected official when sitting in those seats inside of the House chamber. A hat is forbidden. You can wear a hat. It doesn't matter, but it does not have to have any, it's not supposed to have any insignia. And it has to make America great again. Trump didn't lie. Trump told the truth about everything. That's what the hat said. And if we're going to say that we're going to do that, we're going to kick somebody out of the gallery of the United States House of Representatives chamber, let it be her first, because she's already broke the quorum. She has on a hat. Make America great again hat. You're not supposed to have that on. So when we look at the two-tier justice inside of this country, Mr. Green, he stood up in protest. He understands what his punishment is. He knows he's not supposed to blurt out. But last year, same exact scenario, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she heckled President Biden. Say her name, Lincoln Riley. Say her name, Lincoln Riley. Why didn't Mike Johnson gavel in and take control of the chamber and say, hey, you will be escorted out of here if you continue to blurt out why the president is speaking. So my thing is, if you're going to say something and you're going to tell somebody to do something, do the same exact thing to the person inside of your party. I don't like that. So if we're going to sit here and we're saying that we're in a dignified setting, twice a Democratic president has been heckled by a Republican member of Congress. This time when it is a Democrat, you remove an African-American Democrat, I might add, was removed from the chamber. Why didn't you remove back when President Obama was at a function at the same exact thing at the State of the Union? Why wasn't that congressman removed when he said, you lie, you liar, you lied? He should have been removed for decorum. Marjorie Taylor Greene should have been removed for decorum. So if we're going to wield the gavel inside of the House of Representatives, then you need to do it both ways. Be fair and balanced. That's what you say. You say one thing and then you speak with a snake tongue. I just tell you guys, it's time that we all understand that this fight is going to be, in the words of President Biden, for the soul of this nation. What type of nation do we want? It's going to have to be people-led, people-driven. We're going to have to get out there. We're going to have to make phone calls, knock on doors, do whatever you got to do. I don't understand that everybody says that's the old school way of doing things. Democrats need to get off their ass and they need to go and meet people where they are. Not show up every 4 to 2 years to try to get elected to any elected position. We cannot continue to run this country the way that we are running this country. Another thing that I want to add that I was just reading, this was a breaking story. It says, this is breaking. Chances of a U.S. recession in 2025 have jumped to 43% per Clusha. It's a big hedge fund firm out of New York. The Washington Times, the Wall Street Journal. They're telling the American people right now to brace for a recession. A recession is coming to this country. If we continue these same policies of cutting and wasteful spending, I understand you say it's wasteful spending, but I have not seen anywhere where it's wasteful spending. So if we're spending money on people that have cancer, doing studies, doing environmental studies and stuff of ways that we can continue to make sure that we grow our crops the way that we need to have those crops to be developed in this country for us to be able to have proper food. You fire FDA employees that work with going through the packaging plants and stuff, making sure that our food is able for us to eat. Now we just lost one of our main suppliers, the main people that buy stuff from our farmers here in this country. And then you tell the farmers, good luck. They're going to be the first ones that are going to be so hurt by these tariffs. They are going to feel it. You want to go buy your new home, your home prices are going to be 10 times more than what they are costing right now. There will be another subprime mortgage a crash again. We are witnessing the downfall of the American experience. Our country will be 250 years old this year. And our founding fathers did not build this country for this particular moment. Donald Trump took an oath on January the 20th. He raised his hand, but he never put his hand on the Bible. Check it. It's a fact check. Go and watch it. He never put his hand on the Bible. He swore to an oath. But he wants to be the all in all, end all. I'm not going to call it billionaires, millionaires that's running this country. No, I'm going to call them what they called them back in the 30s. When all of the rich billionaires, the richest people, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, those guys, they own all the nation's wealth. And they collapsed the economy. They called them robber barons. And that's what they are. Robber barons. You're talking about cutting out waste? You gave Elon Musk $400 million to buy all these additional Teslas. That's a damn near fucking $250 million. He has another 20 billion for SpaceX. You want to cut some waste? Start there. And then the CFPB, they dropped all the lawsuits against Zelle. People have lost money, scammed by these big bankers. Now you can't even be able to get that money now because they dropped the lawsuit. Trump's Justice Department. Then you stand up there on the dais and you just sat there and you just blurted out lie after lie after lie after lie. Did you hear a word of how Trump was going to fix the economy? How is he going to bring down home costs? How is he going to bring down our grocery costs? How is he going to bring down our electric bill? Not once did he mention a plan. All I heard was a bunch of mumbo jumbo talking about how these companies are coming to make all these investments. Only he can close these deals. Takes me back and it makes me think about Star Wars and the line that says, only Sith talk in absolutism. Only a Sith does that. This America, all I can say is work hard, save your money. You're going to need it if you can invest your money into anything by farming and doing what you have to do to be able to take care of you and yours. You're going to have to do it because costs are going to go up. Once these recidive taxes kick in, it's going to hurt us all. It's going to hurt us. If you don't make over $250,000 or over $400,000 in this country, you are the problem. If you're not making more money than them, they're not going to give a damn about you. They don't care nothing about that. These people only believe in greed. It takes me back to Chief Agla Longhorn. I think I may have his name, Chief Ogla. He's Comanche, and he said, I don't want to get the quote messed up, but I may be wrong. But he did say, he said, when this country lives and continues to live off greed alone, he said, when your trees and everything is gone, your animals are gone, how will you eat? Will you eat your money? meaning money has no substance. We got to take care of each other. This is going to be a people movement that's going to be led by Black, white, Hispanic, indigenous, Indian, African, whoever it is in this country that believes in freedom, that believes in the rule of law in this country, that believe in the moral fabric of what this country was built on. This country was built on the backs of slaves. This country was built on the blood and this bloodshed and the tears that were fought during the Trail of Tears and during the Seminole Wars and during the Comanche Wars and during the fight for freedom and equality in this country. It was built on the backs of the people that came across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. This country was built on the backs of the individuals that came here to look for freedom and be able to bring their communities and their people over to be able to find the peace of freedom, the peace of land, the peace of understanding of what the American dream was all about. If you are an American and you really believe in your country and you believe that this country was built on the truth, to see that all these things are self-evident, that all men are created equal. The pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of freedom, of expression, it goes on and on. You know the same song. This country is strong enough. We saw a king rise and we saw a king fall. We saw how the American spirit is when we go through things, trials and tribulations, when we go through watershed moments, when it's us having to fend for ourselves from our homes and stuff being destroyed by natural disasters, by fires. We see the American spirit through each and every individual on this face of this planet. If you are an American, you should always believe and want for more. And then this country can become a more perfect union. Ronald Reagan spoke of the shining city on the hill. But right now, if Ronald Reagan was living, he would be turning over. He would not stand for what this is, what Trump is doing to this country. And the way he's aligning himself with Putin. I pray for our country. I thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Tomorrow I'll come back with a recap. I'll drop some snippets and stuff from tonight's broadcast. But I want to thank you guys. Continue to keep me in your prayers. You will be in my family's prayers as well. And I thank you guys for tuning in tonight. And thank y'all guys. And I'll just follow me if you want to. You can follow me, Alexander Tommy, on Facebook, or you can follow me at or you can email us at mfbf772@gmail.com. Email us in any stories, anything that you would like to talk about or what you want to hear us speak on. And I want to thank you guys again for tuning in tonight, because if it wasn't for you guys, we won't continue to keep the fight. Let's stay prayerful, let's stay understanding, and let's do what we have to do as an American people and come together and work hard and not fight against each other, but fight against the power of the people that are against the everyday common man. Thank y'all and good night.
you.